Welcome to Making and Grading Assessments using ELMs or Canvas quiz feature. My name is Sue Mazzullo. My contact information is shimiak@umd.edu. If you should have any questions, I'd be more than happy to help. So what I'm going to be going over today is first of all, where to find help in the ELMS Canvas environment. Then we're going to talk about creating an assessment, whether it's an active learning activity during your class, a quiz, or an exam. In that, we'll talk about making a category for your assessment, creating that assessment, and how it can be graded. So, where can you find help? Well, when you open up into ELMS, the fastest way to get help is to go over here and hit the help. In here, search the Canvas guides. Now there is a way to get a tutorial step by step with Canvas, but if you want to really quick answer your specific question, you want to go to the Canvas guides. In the Canvas guides, you'll want to go into what's called the instructor guide. This will be categories where you might have a specific question. Now the introduction will introduce you into using Canvas, but let's say, hey, I saw that video that Sue made, but I still have questions about quizzes. So you would go in here and you'd look up quizzes and you'd click onto that, and here are different questions you might have about creating quizzes, and it will go through all of those with you in creating a quiz. So and you could have questions about anything else. And here are your different topics that you could look at, different features of ELMS that you could use and look up how to use. So now let's look at how do we create a quiz and how will it appear to your students. Well, in all of my classes, I like to put my tentative schedule up on the home page on my ELMS site. So I always make my home page my syllabus, where I put up all important information, my syllabus, my tentative schedule, office hours, things like that. And then as I make and create assignments, they'll appear here. So I have things called modules. You can learn how to do that, where you just talk about what you're going to do that day. And then through the assignments tab, which I'm going to show you next, it will show the different assignments. So those are what students have to do to get, that's part of their grade. So this is one of the assessments that I made, and it will appear right on ELMS, and your students will click onto it, and they can start their quiz or assessment right away. So it's a nice feature that I love for ELMS, is my students know exactly every day of the course what we're doing and what is due. So the to-do, my class begins at 12, this is what we're going to be doing in class, and this is what's due on a specific day. So it's nice. I do this for all my classes where they literally have exactly what's going on. And now I'll have the Zoom link for each day of the class from here on out, so they know what my Zoom link is and what we're doing that day and the things that are due. Just a quick look. So how do I make the assignments? Well, I go to the assignment tab, and as you'll see, I've already made my categories. I have my tests and exams, any extra credit that I should do. I have projects in my class, so that's a category of an assignment. That's what I'll be showing you in the next video, how you can do how you can use the assignments tab to create and upload an assignment, and your students can actually upload files. I have Assassin and R project, and then all the different quizzes that I've done throughout the semester using our quiz feature in ELMS. And each of these have a different percentage in my class per their grade. So when I go into my grade book, you'll see these different assessments in there. You'll see where my final will be, my test 1, my test 2, and then all the unpublished things that I've gotten so far. In other words, I don't want the students to see those, but those are the first 2 Minitab projects that they've done in my class. And when Minitab 3 is, I'll see little pages here when they actually turn it in. I'll show you how that looks too. But these are all my different groups that will go into my grade book, and in the end it will give me the class participation, the class grade for my students. But let's go back to assignment. So let's say I want just quizzes. I want to make quizzes. So I'm going to make a group called quizzes for the rest of the semester. Quizzes. Okay, just quizzes. And down here, I wouldn't add anything here right now. I'm going to use the quiz feature, and I'm going to put the quizzes in here. So that sounds great. What are you talking about? So let's show how to do that. So we go into quizzes, and I want to add my first quiz for this new online classes that we're doing. So I'm going to call this quiz 1. You can have specific instructions here. If you have a file, so you've already got quizzes done, you could add a file here. You could just go to Files, upload your file. So that would go, when you hit that, you could choose a file from your computer and add that file. Once you do that, you upload it, add it, and it will appear here. That's one way that you could do a quiz. And then you can have questions on that particular file. Okay? Otherwise, you can actually create questions right here in ELMs. Now, I want it to be graded, and I want it to go into this new group that I created called quizzes. Now, you can allow multiple attempts. So you could let your students try 2 or 3 times to do that. Keep the highest score, take the average, take the very last attempt. You can do that. And you can put in how many attempts that you would like. But let's say that I don't want to do that. I want this to be like a real quiz. Now, I want to make sure that students aren't going to, that they either will get a unique question, or I can make several unique questions. I can make it to where it would be very difficult for student to help student at the time of taking the quiz. Now you have the choice of whether you want your students to see their quiz responses. Incorrect answers will be marked in the student feedback. Show one question at a time. This might be extremely helpful in that if you show it one at a time, and then the students will have a very difficult time with going, I'm on question 1, what did you get? So showing the questions one at a time, and you can lock the questions after they answer it so they can't go back. These are options that you could have. You could require an access code. Different things that you can do. You can have the lockdown browser. Problem with the lockdown browser is they've got their phones too. So, requiring the Respondus lockdown browser might not be something you'd want to do. You can assign to your different sections or to everybody at a time. You can give a due date so it would be due at a specific time. So let's say I do it on the 30th. I want it due by the end of my class. Let's say my class ends at 3. And I could make it available at the start of my class. So I could make it available, let's say my class begins at 2 o'clock. So it opens up at 2 and they've only got an hour to do it. Things like that. Okay? And then they can only see the quiz up to a certain time. Please do remember some students might have Wi-Fi issues, so you might want to think of that. So then you're saying, well, then what do I do? Well, up here, you can have a time limit on your quiz. So if you only want your students to work on it for 50 minutes, you could put that in there. If you want them to work on it 20 minutes, put it in there. That means when a student starts, it ends in 50 minutes, no matter what. So you'd have to tell your students, look, if you start this quiz, don't answer the door, don't answer your phone, get going, because you've got 50 minutes to do that. So you could put a time limit on it, then have it available for a 24-hour period. So you could say, okay, it's due by 3 o'clock on this day, 24-hour period, and then all of a sudden you don't see the quiz after 3 3 o'clock on March 31st. You could do things like that. So literally they have a 24-hour period to begin the quiz, but they only have 50 minutes to do it. And then shuffling the answers also helps. So if somebody starts the quiz early and says, oh, on question number 1, and let's say they figure out what question number 1 is, but if you shuffle the answer choices, again, adds a layer of difficulty for students to do something that they're really hurting themselves, not really seeing how much they know. So we're just trying to help the students to be the best person that they can be and to learn the material. So now it's time to add your question. So I want to get a new question in here, and I call it question 1, let's say. Now I've got lots of choices. I could make a multiple choice test where I can put in distractors where I can specifically see where the error is in my students, especially if you know common errors. You can have those distractors so you can really help students go, you got that one wrong because you forgot to do such and such, or you were thinking about this incorrectly, which is a very common mistake, and let them know. You can do true or false questions, fill in the blank, fill in multiple blanks. You can have ones that it's answer A, C, and D, with multiple answers. There's multiple drop downs, matching questions, numerical answers, formula questions, essay questions where you just want them to give an answer, and then file upload questions where you could you could put your file in, have them work all their problems out, and then upload their answers, and then text, no question. So in here, I could ask a multiple choice question. So I could say, in here, I could put a question in, what day is it? Kind of thing. And then you could put your answers in here. Oh, it's Monday. It's Wednesday. It's Friday. Okay. And then you could say, you can even give in here, so my correct answer for this one, let's say it was a Wednesday when I'm given this. I know this is an inane question, but here you go. And then I could actually put comments about, the correct answer so they could see what they did wrong or something like that. So you can really help them out in real time with the different questions. Then you update that question. That's the first question on your quiz. It was a multiple choice. Now, I want to make sure that I have multiple versions of this question number 2. So I could do this. I want to create a question group. I'm going to call this group normal distribution. And how many questions do I want on my quiz on the normal distribution? Well, I only want one question, and I want it to be 1 point. So now I need to actually create the group of questions. Now I haven't done a question bank yet, so now I've got to actually create the group. So now I need to add them. So I could call this, it's going to be question 2 in my thing. It's going to be multiple choice, do a probability problem. So I now put this in there, and I can even, using the standard normal table given, and I even have the standard normal table in my files section, so they can access that standard normal table quickly right here. They can press on that, and then I could give the answers, whatever the answers might be. So I know that students sometimes get this mixed up and use the table wrong, where they think this is z is less than and just give that answer. So that wouldn't be the correct answer. The correct answer is, so I would click that as the correct answer, and then I could put in whatever, some other distractors I could put in there. So let's say cannot be determined, but if, I could update that question. But remember, I'm still in this group, so I can add another one. I could add one that is still question 2. It's the, find this. We want to find that probability. I'm going to copy and paste that here. But I'm going to use a different number. I'm going to use 0.23. So now I've got another question like that. I put in the correct answers, whatever they may be. I hit update the question. So now one student might get this one and the other student might get that one. And you can create as many of these as you'd like. You could also make a new question where it's a file upload. And in here, here's your question. You take whatever file that you have in here. So one of my projects, and here's project 1. This is what they have to do. So in here, I put that in there. And then if I want to put a help thing to help them get through it on how to do that, then I update that question, and now they'd have to file upload in order to answer that question. Now, if I don't want my students to see this yet, I'm still adding to it, I just hit save. If I want my students to see it and to publish it, I would hit save and publish. Now, of course, I'm just going to hit save because this isn't something I want my students to do right now. So I'm going to hit save. When I do that now, I am going to see this quiz 1 in my grade book. So when I go into my grade book, I'm now going to see quiz 1. So I travel through here, and now I see my unpublished quiz 1. And when my students are ready, I'm going to see a little, it's going to look like a page in there that and I'll show you what that looks like, that I can now grade. Now the grading of it, well, some of those were multiple choice. They will be graded automatically. For the one that I made an upload, I'm going to have to look at that upload and grade that. So now, let's see what would happen if I created an activity where students had to just upload their answers, such as this one. So you go into grade an activity that will have both multiple choice or no multiple choice or fill in the blank or essay answer. Again, you'll see this page. That means it needs grading, so I click on it. I hit the arrow. I want to go into Speed Grader so I can see it quickly. And now I'm ready. In this one, it was just a quick answer where I wanted just the number and it had to be precise. So that one's marked correctly. So he had nothing wrong on that first question. But this one was list all the quantitative variables. In here, I've got to make sure that he listed them correctly, which he did. So I don't have to make any comments, but if it was wrong, I would say in question 2, whatever. I could put that in there. I'd hit submit and the comment would go there. Now, if I said, oh, I didn't want to make that comment, you just get rid of it and everything's fine and then re-put in your comment. Or you could give them a grade after looking at their answers, and then you can upload the file of an answer key so that the students can see what they did right and what they did wrong. So there's a lot of options in the grading here. So let's say my student, they did everything correctly in here. I can now give them a grade for their submission of 10. And so now I can say, okay, well, this one was worth 0 points. So they got 0 points there. This one was worth 2, but it was already pre-graded because it was a fill in the blank and it was numerical and they did it correctly. This one, I said, yay, you did it correct. So I let them have the full 2 points in there. This one was correct. I told them that. Correct. That one was correct. And now I update the score, their score, and they should get a 10. So I submit that, and now we will see it in the grade book. So that's the way, if you have essay questions to answer that you'll have to look over, and different ways that you can grade your quizzes. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can make an assignment where, once again, you upload a file, your student works on the file, works out the problems because you actually want to see their work, and how they can upload their file for you to grade, and how you can use the Speed Grader to grade it, and or, again, upload a file. Thanks for watching.